And we're live. What's good, Ohio Cannabis Report community? It's your boy Gerald Moore Jr. checking in, back with another live YouTube episode. I have been gone for a little bit. As y'all know, most of the state got hit by a good amount of snow. I'm in Columbus, so we got a good foot of snow. So my kids were with me all week. So kids had a full snow week. So I am still recovering. Obviously, it's Wednesday, but I'm childless today, so I get a little bit of free time to catch up on some of the things that we missed over the last week. But I just want to thank everybody, all of our followers, all of our subscribers, all the people who've tapped in, liked, commented on any of the content. We really, truly appreciate the support. We're almost at 200 subs, so please go ahead and share this content if you like the content, if you rock with us. Every like, every comment, every subscribe really helps. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. I haven't gotten to a strict schedule on doing the live simply because, again, I'm always busy. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I'm typically with kids, and so I try to go live and I try to, get as much news and information gathered up to be able to share with you all because I do realize one of the biggest issues in our industry and in the state of Ohio is lack of news and information about what's going on at the state level, while also local levels too, right? So a lot of these news agencies have scaled back. So they don't have as many reporters on a lot of different beats anymore, right? You don't see the newspapers having a lot of different reporters again, because a lot of digital media has happened. So scale has really hit traditional media. So that's why we created Ohio Cannabis Report. I just saw it as a way to be able to one share the plant, but also share the information, the resources about what's going on at the state level, what's going on locally, and what's going on with the people, right? Not just these corporations and the politicians, but what's really happening on the ground floor with the people. So that's why we started Ohio Cannabis Report. This is for the people, by the people. You know what I mean? So I truly appreciate everybody who's been supporting. Shout out to all of our followers on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Substack. I do have a Substack where we write some articles. So please go check out our Substack. I just sent in a op-ed to the Columbus Dispatch, so we'll see if they pick that up. Just discussing lack of social equity in Ohio's cannabis industry. Also, I am currently organizing the Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum. That will be April 4th here in Columbus from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm going to try to do it hybrid, so I'll try to have it live streamed on this channel or maybe our Facebook. And so we got a powerhouse panel for you guys. I got my girl Tasha Roundtree out of Dayton. She does a lot of harm reduction work. She's been on Ohio State University's panel with the Drug Enforcement Policy Center. She's testified multiple times at the Ohio State House for cannabis rights for the people. She works with veterans. She works with at-risk folks and people, everybody in between. So she's a powerhouse. We have Sarah Koya Bryant out of Athens, Ohio. Athens had the most people vote for cannabis. Over 77% of Athens folks voted for issue 2. So Sarah Koya is an Athens resident, and she is a small business owner. She's also a cannabis and community advocate. So we're going to be grateful to have her come from the hills of Athens to the city of Columbus. Also, we got my guy Ronnie. He's be coming up from Athens as well. He has his own brand, Ohio Boys. So we're going to talk about that. He's a veteran. He also does a lot of outreach for veterans with medicine as well. He has his own genetics. So we're excited to have him. Then we're going to have my guy Anthony Riley, who runs Ohio Cannabis Live, which is another YouTube you guys should definitely subscribe to. He gets out a lot of information, a lot of resources from around the state of Ohio and the cannabis industry. He's also a disabled medical cannabis patient with a brain injury, and he also has other health issues that he deals with and navigate. So we're going to have him on the panel. He's also testified multiple times at the Ohio State House. He's also putting on the Ohio Cannabis Expo, an event that he does every year, bringing together industry and community folks for an expo. So this year it'll be in Hilliard, which is a suburb of Columbus. And then we have Karen O'Keefe. She is a policy director out of Marijuana Seed Policy Project out of Michigan. She's going to be virtual on the show or on the panel. And then we have Bree Ebony Hempress, who is a podcast host with Ohio TV. She's also a brand ambassador, has been doing a lot of work in the influencer space when it comes to cannabis. So she's going to be the host and moderator of the event. And I'm the organizer, so I'll kind of just be there facilitating. So yeah, I'm excited, man. This is my first event of 2026. First event I'm doing in person in a while. So this will be low key, small. We have shout out to our partners and our sponsors, Ohio Wellness, Herbal Wellness, Dr. Simmons. Shout out to Always Athens podcast. Shout out to Ancient Roots, which is our first social equity or our first community sponsor and our first cannabis industry sponsor. Shout out to Mike Smith, who is running for independent seat in Columbus, who is one of our social equity sponsors, our first social equity sponsor. So shout out to Mike Smith. Shout out to Ohio Boy. Shout out to Ohio TV. Who am I missing? I think I got everybody. So yeah, and we're still I'm still accepting community sponsors. $50 for a community sponsor. You will get a shout out on all of our social media pages. We have over 1,000 followers, all pretty much Columbus, Ohio, Ohio region on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're going to do a podcast. So I'll do a podcast with all of our community sponsors. You get 2 tickets to the event, and you get space at our resource table to hand out information about your business, service, or your organization. So again, this is a grassroots event. Part of the resources and funds will go to a nonprofit, Green Environmental Outreach, which helps put on events like this, which also helps provide wraparound services for veterans and underserved communities. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a free event. We do accept donations. And so, yeah, we're really thankful for everybody who's been rocking with us. So now into the show. Just disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes and informational purposes only. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. And so please do all of your due diligence and research. I am just sharing what I know, what I think, my opinion. And my opinion does not represent the companies that I may work with. This is just solely my opinion and thoughts. And some news. So we got some good news coming out of the AG's office. We've been waiting. We've been waiting for the AG to get back to us with the language for the group that is opposing or putting the referendum up for Ohio SB 56. And so we'll go here to this Yahoo. So Ohio voters could decide on property taxes, gay marriage, and marijuana law by Haley B. Miller, Columbus Dispatch. Ohio voters decided this November whether to abolish property taxes and protect marriage equality. The November 3rd election will feature several high-profile races, including the open bid to replace Governor Mike DeWine. Advocates also want to repeal legislation and put constitutional amendments on the ballot that could drive state policy on key issues. None of this is done deal. Groups pushing for an amendment have until July to collect more than 413,000 signatures. So here's who may be asking you to sign petitions in the coming months. So eliminating property taxes, the issue getting the most attention this year is a push to eliminate local property taxes. Is that the biggest issue? To my Ohio folks, what are the biggest issues that you're worried about? I know this property tax is an issue, but again, everybody isn't a homeowner. All voters aren't homeowners. The proposed amendment would ban taxes on real property, although public utilities would still have to pay Property tax backers contend lawmakers have failed to protect people, especially seniors, from being priced out of their homes. DeWine signed a major overhaul of the system in December, but critics say it doesn't go far enough to lower tax bills. Opponents of the amendment say it will gut funding for school districts and other local services that rely on property tax revenue. Same-sex marriage and LGBTQ rights. LGBTQ advocates are collecting signatures for two constitutional amendments. The first would repeal an existing ban on same-sex marriage approved by voters in 2004. And so that's what people keep saying we need to do with cannabis is a constitutional amendment. The reason they were allowed to change it was because it was a citizens initiated statute. The U.S. Supreme Court ruling in Obergefell and versus Hodges superseded Ohio's policy, but advocates want a backstop in case something changes at the federal level. The other proposal would prohibit state and local governments from discriminating against people based on race, religion, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, and age, among other characteristics. Quote, Ohioans deserve a constitution that reflects the will of the people, not outdated laws or political agendas, end quote, said Susan Apel, volunteer campaign manager for Ohio Equal Rights. Quote, these amendments are about protecting families, protecting freedom, and protecting the basic principle that government should not be telling people how to live their lives, end quote. The group initially submitted one amendment to state officials, but the GOP-controlled Ohio Ballot Board voted to split them into two. That means they must collect twice the number of signatures. Damn. Overturning new Ohio marijuana law. A slightly different effort is underway to block changes to Ohio's marijuana and hemp laws. A group dubbed Ohioans for Cannabis Choice want to overturn Senate Bill 56, signed by DeWine in December. The new law restricts intoxicating hemp and THC beverages, creates new marijuana penalties, and scraps legal protections for recreational marijuana consumers. Ohio voters approved the adult use cannabis program in 2023. The process for challenging new laws, called a referendum, has a much tighter timeline. Attorney General Dave Yost approved the group's petition on February 3rd after rejecting the first draft. Proponents must now collect more than 248,000 signatures before Senate Bill 56 takes effect on March 20th. If the issue makes the ballot, Senate Bill 56 will remain on hold until voters decide in November whether it should become law. State government reporter Haley B. Miller. So yeah, let me know in the chat what y'all think about that. Obviously, that's a win. That's a win. That is a win. Ohioans for Cannabis Choice get green light to collect signatures to get referendum on the ballot. Secretary of State Frank LaRose cleared away the last hurdle for the drive to block portions of Ohio's marijuana and hemp regulations to move towards getting an issue before voters. LaRose on Tuesday verified the Ohioans for Cannabis Choice submitted at least 1,000 valid voter signatures needed on petition summary language to allow the issue to move forward. The action, coupled with Attorney General's Dave Yost certifying the group's revised petition summary language, allows the group to begin gathering signatures to place the measure on the November ballot. The proposed referendum seeks to repeal much of Senate Bill 56, which Governor Mike DeWine signed in December. The petition would repeal provisions related to regulation, criminalization, and taxation of cannabis products. Quote, full steam ahead. We're going to be hitting the streets, collecting signatures all across Ohio because people are angry and want to sign on the line to vote no on SB 56 to stop government overreach, no to closing 6,000 small businesses and killing thousands of jobs, and no to denying consumers the right to purchase products they want, end quote, Dennis Willard, spokesperson for Ohioans for Cannabis Choice, said in a statement. The campaign is racing against a tight schedule and only has until the law takes effect in mid-March to collect and submit signatures equal to 6% of the governors of the votes cast in the most recent gubernatorial election, or roughly 250,000. Those signatures must come from at least 44 of Ohio's 88 counties. Yost initially rejected the group's initial petition last month, saying that it did not accurately reflect SB 56. He cited inaccuracies and misleading statements that he said could confuse potential petition signers. Quote, my certification should not be construed as an affirmation of the enforceability and constitutionality of the referendum petition, end quote. Yost wrote in a letter certifying the petition. Ohioans for Cannabis Choice says that it supports proper regulation, testing protocols, age gating products for those only over 21, proper licensing, and a framework that keeps access while allowing for proper regulation for a successful state model that others will look to follow. And this article is by Mary Frances McGowan for Cleveland.com. So yeah, that, obviously is good news coming out of, the state of Ohio. Obviously the governor signed SB 56 into law, right? So that a lot of people are confused, on a lot of different platforms. I'm seeing a lot of different things, been on threads trying to educate folks, because people think that hemp shops or head shops are dispensaries, and they are not. Okay. When I'm talking about, we have to have nuance in our conversations. We have to understand there's levels. We have a legal cannabis industry with the hemp bill that allowed people to use hemp and sell hemp without having to go through the state licensing process to be a part of these dispensaries, right? Or cultivators or processors, which again, in the state of Ohio, we have a limited license model. So they only had a handful of licenses, and then the licensing was very expensive. And then there was no refunds, and it wasn't a guarantee that you were going to get a license. So you had to fork out $20,000, $50,000 for a license, and it wasn't guaranteed that you were going to win. Then you also, if you were applying for a cultivation license, you had to have a space, a warehouse to actually be able to build that out. You had to show that you had money. You know what I mean? You had to show cash. And so a lot of people don't have, millions of dollars cash. There's private equity companies involved, et cetera, et cetera. So people were allowed to set up hemp shops, or if you already had a retail shop, you could just add cannabis gummies, CBD gummies, THC, Delta 9, Delta 8, Delta 10 gummies, and sell those as a part of the hemp bill. Well, with the new laws, they are closing that loophole, which again, the state will start enforcing. And so they want all cannabis products to be sold in a dispensary licensed by the state. These hemp shops are retail shops. They are not cannabis licensed facilities. Okay. So I need people, especially if you're going to be online talking, one, y'all putting a lot of people business out there, because it's a lot of stuff that's, again, if somebody's a hemp shop and they're selling, again, some people could be selling that real fire, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, some people really got gas, that you might find some better products at those spaces, right? But again, in order to purchase from a licensed legal dispensary, you have to be 21 years or older. We have a medical program, so you can have a medical card, or you have to have a license, 21 years and over. And these are all DCC licensed, right? So the Department of Cannabis Control. Now, the reason I talk about this is because when people are paying money into the licensing, that money, that tax revenue is supposed to go back into the community, right? So when we spend money at a retail shop buying cannabis, we don't know if they're putting that money back into the community, right? We would hope so. Local business, they're supporting the community. We don't know. But what we voted for was, with issue 2, was that 36% of the tax revenue would go to social equity, would go to communities most harmed by the war on drugs, to help them, one, fix their communities, get educated. If they wanted to get involved in the industry, they would get money and support structure to help them get into the industry. We had tier 3, and that was supposed to help folks get into this cannabis industry, which again costs a lot of money, capital intensive. With SB 56, they gutted that, right? So if you're poor, working class, impacted by the war on drugs, somebody in your family went to jail for drugs, you went to jail for drugs, weed, like this fund was supposed to go to y'all, and y'all have a pot of money where you can have access to it. SB 56 took that out. SB 56 also added criminal language, so fines, criminal penalties, to put you right back in jail, or to put you right back, having to pay money that you don't got, right? And also, it limited dispensaries to 400 dispensaries throughout the state. What else? Added probable cause back into the language. Added discriminatory language for healthcare, employment, and housing. It gutted public consumption. If you smoking in your car is now a crime. So there's a lot of things that was layered into SB 56 that is not good for the average person. Like if you're the average person, poor, working class, middle class, SB 56 does not support you at all. And so this is why it's important that we pay attention to what the Ohioans for Cannabis Choice is doing, this referendum. And yeah, hopefully that, they're able to get the signatures. They need about 250,000 signatures from 44 different counties. I know a lot of people are interested in this issue. It's a bipartisan issue. So you got people on the left, people on the right, people in the middle. So cannabis is one of those issues where, especially now with the climate of our country and the climate of our state, I've talked to people on both sides. You know what I mean? There are people in the group that I'm a part of, hardcore Trump dudes. You know what I mean? Voted for Trump. I don't know if they, they all still like, now, but it's like, nah, bro, you still got, y'all was standing strong on Trump. And what's crazy to me is like, knowing somebody poor, because I'm not poor. I got bread. You know what I mean? I got college education. I come from a family with money. My wife's family got money. So like but I don't really put myself on no pedestal. You know what I mean? Like I like being with working class folks, the hard working people. I don't like being with the elites. The elites are fucking annoying as fuck. You know what I mean? And a lot of times they're a bunch of losers, right? Losers with money and very pretentious, right? But again, when you get to certain levels, you're around different types of people. So you got to realize, like, these people are fucking assholes and idiots. You know what I mean? But again, when you're poor and you vote for somebody like Trump and all his homies, like, you just put the battery in their back. Like, they sit back and laugh at y'all. Like, can you believe these fucking idiots? They really thought we were going to come to these small towns and fix these small towns. They really thought we were going to bring thousands of jobs, high-paying quality jobs, to these small towns. They really thought we were going to keep healthcare. Oh my God. Trump has made $3.3 billion since he's been back in office, I believe. I don't know if that's the whole term, like both terms, but his family's getting richer and richer. Kids getting richer. Wife getting richer. They said they buying tickets to the movie. I should go to the movie theater right now and see if anybody going to see that. But again, they just money laundering, they racketeering, and they know they're gonna be in trouble. So these midterms, November 3rd, it's gonna be important for a lot of things. So make sure y'all register to vote. Because they're doing a lot of stuff. And I don't really be here for the right, left, in the middle. Like, I'm a human being, bro, and I think most people want the same thing for the most part. Most people want to live a good, healthy life and enjoy their life. Now, you got some people that's just evil as fuck. You got some people that just hate other people. You got some people that just think, like, oh, you could figure it out. Like, yo, you had a mom, a dad, a grandma, a grandpa, a roof over your head. You always had clothes on your back. You always had food in the refrigerator. You always had opportunity. You always had support. Everybody don't come from that. And it's not everybody's fault that they don't come from that. But there are some people that have a step up and have been propped up. There are some people whose families have gotten government contracts for decades. and their whole life has been funded by the federal government in contracts or state contracts or city contracts or private contracts. And people do, oh, the government, the government, the government. Yes, the government facilitates everything. It's the United States of America. They facilitate everything. Some people use the government in different types of ways, right? Some people work for the government. Some people pay the government to work for them, right? So the people are supposed to be paying into the government and supposed to work for us. But what's happening is the bulk of the money is going to private corporations. It's going to, elites. It's going to Israel. It's going to all of these different things. It's going to wars. It's going to ships. It's going to, all funding for aid over here, funding for this over there. Business owners are getting tax incentives and tax abatements and low interest loans and grants. So you got to understand what the federal government does and where it allocates money and resources, right? Like you got to look at the budget, right? So, what, 70 billion to ICE? 70? That's crazy. I think they went from like 3 to like 7 or something. 70. What else? I don't really got much for y'all. That was the biggest news, is the referendum. Let me see. The DCC didn't come out with anything new. Also, I made a statement on my threads about how there are 37 cultivation licenses in the state of Ohio. I don't believe any of them are within the city limits of Columbus, Ohio, which I found to be an issue. Columbus has the most dispensaries in the state, with 14, I believe. 14 or 17 was the number. And then they pulled in $4.2 million. I'll do that. So Columbus brought in $4.2 million. And shout out to everybody. I know we only got 1 or 2 people in the chat. Truly appreciate it. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Always bringing you guys the latest information in Ohio cannabis industry and community. Also, if you guys ever have any tips or anything that you want me to share, please hit us up. Send me an email at ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on social media, on our Instagram, Ohio_cannabis_report. Hit me on the DMs, hit me up on Facebook, Ohio Cannabis Report, and I always try to make sure I get that information out, or you can just put it into the chat. Also, let me know where you're tapping in from in the chat. If you're from Ohio or wherever part of the world you're tapping in from, let us know. I'm in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. Getting it in Ohio, you know what I mean? All right, so Ohio communities finally received their pot of cannabis funds. So Ohio municipalities received their promised tax revenue, and it's not all the tax revenue, right? They took the social equity funds out, so it was 36%. So that's 36 extra percent that was supposed to be in this pot that is no longer in this pot, by the way, for these local communities. Promised tax revenue for recreational marijuana sales more than a year after dispensaries opened their doors across the state. More than $35 million in tax revenue has been sent to around 100 communities. Municipalities are using the 14 months worth of funds for everything from street repairs to investing in public safety services. Missy Mick, the mayor of 7 Mile in Southwest Ohio, says she was shocked about how much her small village in the suburbs of Cincinnati received. The village of around 700 people received more than $400,000 in tax revenue. Quote, "This is going to make a huge difference for 7 Mile," end quote. She said, "Why did it take so long?" In November of 2023, Ohio passed Issue 2, which allowed the sale of recreational marijuana. The ballot initiative called for a 10% tax on marijuana sales and 36% of that tax revenue to go directly back to local communities that host dispensaries. Dispensaries began opening their doors the next year, but the tax revenue didn't immediately make it to the municipalities. The state legislature still needed to pass legislation to release the funds from the state, but there was debate among lawmakers about the dedicated local funds called the Host Community Cannabis Fund. Some argue it should be reduced from 36% to 20%. Others argued it should be taken out entirely. Some communities expressed frustration over the wait. The city of Columbus invoiced the State House last December. Quote, "We can't wait forever," end quote, said City Council member Shannon Hardin said on a social media video back in November. Quote, "Because of the cuts of federal government for social services, we need that money now more than ever," end quote. In the end, the General Assembly stood by the original statute to give 36% of the Ohio House host communities with the passage of SB 56. Senator Steve Huffman, Republican Tip City, sponsored the legislation. Again, this is not including social equity. That was a whole nother 36% that was supposed to go to these local communities on top of what they got. Just to let y'all know. Quote, "We honored what the people voted for, and I'm happy for those communities." That is not what the people voted for. We voted for social equity with issue 2. The 36% that was for social equity, they took that out with SB 56, and they're putting that into the general pot, right? The general fund for the state. So that's money that was supposed to be going, again, to communities most harmed by the war on drugs, poor communities, Black and brown communities, people who have been incarcerated, for drugs, healthcare services, housing, education, roads, bridges, etc. Getting involved in the cannabis industry. Let's say you want to own a dispensary, they were going to help you with the licensing costs, help you with the building and funding costs through those social equity dollars. And again, SB 56 also criminalizes combustion in the car, public combustion. Now, if you travel to Michigan and bring cannabis back, that is now a crime, even though, again, it was federally illegal to begin with, but they weren't, punishing people. Now, if you go to Michigan, bring your cannabis back, crime. If you're traveling with cannabis, it has to be an original container from a dispensary. It has to be in the trunk of your car or the furthest part behind the car, in the car behind the driver's seat. So there's a lot of issues with SB 56 that a lot of people aren't necessarily talking about. Which communities received the most tax funds? Columbus received $4.7 million for nearly 20 dispensaries, the most in the state. Cincinnati followed in second most with $2.5 million, but it wasn't just major metropolitan areas that topped the list. Wintersville, a village in Jefferson County in Steubenville Metro, received $900,000 despite having a population of 3,000 people. That's $100,000 more than Cleveland dispensaries generated in tax revenue. And here's the host community cannabis tax funds. So $35 million. So it shows Adams County, Guernsey County, shows all the money. Akron, $877,000, Alliance, $50,000, Anderson Township, $121,000, Athens got $360,000, Beaver Creek, $300,000, $310,000, Bedford City, $330,000, Bennington Township, almost $200,000, Bowling Green, $124,000. Jana Hardnova with Ohio State University's Drug Enforcement and Policy Center says, while urban centers are typically more receptive to dispensaries, location is still a powerful factor. Quote, "You would probably expect lower than expected revenue in dispensaries bordering Michigan simply because Michigan dispensaries offer products at a much lower price than Ohio dispensaries," end quote, she explained. That means while cities in Northwest Ohio have stiff competition from the north, places that border West Virginia, like Wintersville, or towns like on the border of Kentucky, have a competitive advantage. How do communities plan to use the money? Mick, mayor of 7 Mile, said their village council hasn't yet decided what their pot of money will go towards, but there is no shortage of options. They are considering replacing an old dump truck and revamping a street, things they've been unable to do for a very long time because they couldn't afford it with their small tax base. On the other end of the state, Paynesville Township in Lake County says they are using their funds to avoid putting another fire levy on the ballot. Quote, our goal is to prolong the need for asking for additional money from our residents, end quote, says City Administrator Holly Bartone. Quote, some will be earmarking the majority, if not all, of the additional revenue to help fund the fire department, end quote. In 2024, the OSU Drug Policy Enforcement Center surveyed found that infrastructure and public safety were the biggest two priorities identified by host communities for cannabis tax funds. What else are researchers watching? The ballot initiative originally had around a third of marijuana tax revenue going towards a cannabis social equity and jobs fund to pay for initiatives like record sealing for people convicted on possessions of marijuana charges. The Ohio legislature voted to eliminate that program in October of last year. That's what I was talking about. Hardnova said she is watching to see if any cities decided to use their local tax funds on those kinds of initiatives. Quote, from what we saw in our survey of Ohio host communities, almost no municipality was thinking about social equity programs at all. That doesn't mean that they might not change, or that might not change, she said. There are also around 100 communities who have issued moratoriums to keep dispensaries out. Hardnova said communities may reconsider these temporary bans after seeing neighboring municipalities cashing checks and improving infrastructure. Mick said her village initially debated whether or not to allow dispensaries. She thought she would regret the decision, but the recent payout has felt like validation of the village's choice. Quote, I didn't think 7 Mile was the right fit for dispensaries, end quote, she said. Quote, but it happened, and we have not had one problem with the dispensary being in 7 Mile. They've been good neighbors, end quote. That article's by Kendall Crawford, the Ohio Newsroom. Woo, that was a lot of writing, or a lot of reading. So yeah, let me know what y'all think. Obviously, that's why we're having the Cannabis Social Equity event here in Columbus, Ohio, because I think that is important. Obviously, there are people that want to be involved in the industry that may not know how to get involved in the industry. They may not have the qualifications or the resources or the connections. They may not, have the education. They may not have housing. They may not have a car. There are so many people, living in the margins. And so that's why we are hosting the Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum. And I'm going to turn it into a series so we can have more of these discussions here in the city of Columbus, because I know there's a lot of people that are interested in the cannabis industry, but there's not a lot of information around it. So I'm just going to share this with you guys. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So yeah, if you want to RSVP, go to Eventbrite and then type in Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum. This is the forum. This is who we got. My guy Anthony. We got Tasha Roundtree, Karen O'Keefe, Bree, Sarah Coyer, Ronnie, and then me. So this is just a little overview. What we're going to be talking about. There's some photos. This is when DeWine signed the intoxicating hemp ban and new marijuana regulation into law. Yeah, so the event's free. You just go to tickets. And then general admission, you could do up to 2 people. We are doing community sponsor for $50. We appreciate anybody who sponsors. You will get your logo on our flyers and stuff that we hand out and that we do put on social media. We are also doing interviews, 10, 15, 20-minute, 30-minute interviews with anybody who decides to be a community sponsor. We'll put that on all of our podcast platforms. We'll also put it on YouTube. Also, we're doing social equity sponsors for $250. You get everything that's in the community sponsor, plus you get shout out, you get your own resource table. Both of those, you get 2 tickets to the event as well. And obviously, we'll shout you out at the event. Um, and then we're also accepting donations to support nonprofits and more social equity events. So yeah, man, please, if you're in the Columbus, Ohio area, the region, please come through. This will be a great opportunity to network too with just like-minded individuals. This is not going to be something that, hey, we're going to be here and get everything figured out. I have invited a few different politicians and people in the community. So we'll see who shows up, who turns out. But I'm just looking forward to having a good conversation with good people and just creating more welcoming environments for cannabis-friendly conversation. Because I think that's important for us in this time to have more connections offline, right? And in real person, in real time. So I know there's a lot of people that have, smoking events and stuff like that, but we also need to be having educational events, policy events, you know what I mean? And plus, everybody don't like smoking. Everybody don't like, being smoked out. I get the younger folks, the hip hop crowd and some of the different, alternative groups. But, when it comes to health and wellness, when it comes to community development, when it comes to law, when it comes to education, we also have to have those type of events so we can continue to educate people that may have never grown up around cannabis, right? Like I've been smoking weed since I was 17. So to me, getting my weed from a drug dealer, it feel weird going into a dispensary to get weed, right? Like, or to a drive-through. Like I'm used to, I'm about to pull up, you know what I mean? Dab it up, what you got, you know what I mean? What options you got? Going to somebody's crib. So it's definitely different. And then you got younger generations that are coming out, you got kids that are just graduating college or young professionals, 21, talking about, so I'm a legal drug dealer. My whole time growing up, like I'm scared to let people know that I smoke weed because I'm a football player, like I'm an athlete, I'm in the fucking spotlight. And now you got little white girls on LinkedIn. I'm a legal drug dealer, legal weed dealer. What? The fuck out of here. So, times have changed, obviously. But again, education, right? We got to teach people about the endocannabinoid system, right? We got to teach people about terpenes. You got to teach people about the different parts of the plant. We got to teach people about hemp and how hemp can be used for not just smoking it, right? Not just getting high, not just for lotions and topicals, but certain types of hemp can be used, to eradicate things out of the oil, cleaning the soil, cleaning the air. It can be used, the fibers can be used for clothes, right? It can be used for fuel. It can be used for hemp seed. It can be used for bedding for animals, food for animals, right? So there's so many different uses of the cannabis plant. But if we're only solely focused on the smoking part, the getting high, right, the having fun, it's like you kind of lose the richness and the wealth of what cannabis is truly about, right? Don't get me wrong. I love smoking weed. I love just chilling, getting high. But also I'm at a different stage in my life where it's like, no, well, we need to really be educating people on how we could get people off of alcohol, how we can get people off of pills, how we can get people off these horrible diets, how we can get people to live better, healthier lifestyles, help people that are dealing with PTSD, anxiety, stress, depression, just all this pain, right? A lot of people are dealing with just psychological issues, and a lot of people are stressed, a lot of people are depressed, a lot of people are financially tied, right? So cannabis opens up a whole nother industry for marketing, advertising, HVAC, administrative staff, obviously growers, plumbing, construction, all the things, right? And so cannabis isn't just something like, I think a lot of, folks in the policy world, oh, it's just people just want to get high. And it's like, no, it's way more than that. Like I get high and work. You know what I mean? Like I'm high right now doing this stream. And even though I don't get paid from the stream, like eventually the numbers going to keep stacking up. The YouTube going to keep stacking up. People going to come to the events. This work. I smoke weed, go work out. You know what I mean? I smoke weed, make love. You know what I mean? I smoke weed, lifestyle. You know what I mean? Smoke weed, go eat. Smoke weed, take a nap. Smoke weed, stretch. So for me, like cannabis is like, and I use more microdose, right? Like I take a little bit. I don't need a whole joint. I don't need, to blow it down. So, we gotta teach people there's levels. There's levels. You know what I mean? But I'm excited. I'm excited to start doing more events in person. I'm thinking about doing another just like social event. We recently we did the karaoke, the smoke karaoke joint open mic was a lit. That was lit, and we ain't even promote that shit, but that was a super good night. So I'm thinking about doing the smoking karaoke. I got to come up with a good name though, because I know like either R&B like night smoking vibes, or like open mic where you could do poetry, sing, karaoke. That'll be dope. But just different social, environments, more so around cannabis than alcohol, right? More so around just community vibes. Motherfuckers don't drink like that. I don't drink like that. Like that shit just tastes gross now. Like I had some like anything, you could drink some good shit and that shit still be like, and it was always like, but I'm at this point in my life where it's just like, bro, like, do I really want my stomach to be fucked up? Like, do I really need to be, And it's not saying I won't take a sip, but that shit just crazy. Like the weed is just that's always been my thing. So, but that's why we started Ohio Cannabis Report. You know what I mean? Just to be a vessel to help share the information, bring people together. Make sure you guys watch my last video too, where we interviewed one of the volunteers for Say No to Ohio SB 56. Danny, he basically talked about the whole process of the referendum. Say No to SB 56, I believe. There's a website that you can follow that basically has all the information about where they're going to be collecting signatures and stuff. I think they're doing it at bars and stuff like that. I hate when people do this shit. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the website real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and share this with you all too. So I'm in a few different groups: Facebook, Instagram, that shares different resources and information. So this just came across my screen. So this is Tim Johnson. This is the Ohio Cannabis Consumer Coalition. They got 8,000 members. So the same orgs that put issue 2 on the ballot and lobby for the tier 1 Ohio cannabis program, stakeholders have made numerous attempts to monopolize the industry in Ohio and are now criminalizing their very own consumers and patients through SB 56. They are the same ones who redacted social equity and continue to the attempts to do away with home grow rights. 2.2 million Ohioans have voted for issue 2, not SB 56. Stand your ground by standing by your vote. So the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol denounces the recent attempts referendum on Senate Bill 56. This effort is a blatant attempt by moneyed interests to confuse voters and falsely claim the will of the people has been undone. So this is literally the group that, just like alcohol, that's crazy. So for immediate release, February 3rd, 2026, Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol condemns referendum on Senate Bill 56. Columbus, Ohio, the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol denounces the recent attempted referendum on Senate Bill 56. This effort is a blatant attempt by moneyed interests to confuse the voters and to falsely claim the will of the people has been undone. Our position as the organization that wrote and passed Issue 2, we will not allow misinformation to undermine Ohio's progress or for our campaign to create a regulated adult use market in Ohio to be co-opted by those who wish to undo this good work. SB 56 honors the will of Ohio voters while protecting public health. The referendum effort is about putting profits from unregulated intoxicating hemp and gas station weed sales above people. This has nothing to do with defending Issue 2. SB 56 protects voters' intent and public safety. SB 56 is a common sense refinement of Issue 2, which Ohio voters overwhelmingly approved in 2023. No, they didn't. SB 56, let's just listen. SB 56 is a common sense refinement of Issue 2. It's not Issue 2. It's your common sense refinement of what Issue 2 is, which Ohio voters did not overwhelmingly vote for. We voted for Issue 2. We didn't vote for the refinement of Issue 2. That's where they like, this is one video. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? We voted. I know what I voted for. I got the banner in my shit. Issue 2. Regulate alcohol like marijuana, or regulate marijuana like alcohol. Guess what? We have doors in Columbus, Ohio, where you can walk around with alcohol on the streets and drink. I want to be able to smoke my weed and walk around and smoke. You got bars and restaurants where you can purchase alcohol from and drink. We don't have bars where you can smoke or consume or vape. So that's not like alcohol, right? So we still haven't even gotten to, we have microbreweries. So if you want to be a microbrew, you can open up your own microbrewery. We don't have micro cannabis cultivators. We don't have tier 3 cultivators. We don't have delivery. You can't order alcohol from DoorDash and get it, or marijuana and get it delivered. Obviously, if you're not doing it from the legal side, is what I'm saying. So yeah, they bullshitting, bro, and they just be lying. And this is why we have this platform, because again, this is a blatant lie. All right, we had 2.2. You're gonna tell me 2.2 million people voted for Issue 2. More people voted for Issue 2 than voted for Governor DeWine. And they're going to tell you, the people, oh, the people wanted this refinement. No, we didn't. We were going to the State House for months fighting against SB 56. There was more than 40 of us going to the State House to combat SB 56, saying that this is not the will of the voters. This is not what we voted for. Over 44. There were none of the dispensary owners there. There were none of a lot of even these hemp people. Where the fuck were they at? There was a couple, but where were the cultivators at? They were nowhere to be found. They hide behind OCAN, which OCAN basically operates under just like alcohol. They're the same people, the same lawyers that constructed like alcohol. They're the same people within this membership group that own all of the cannabis cultivators, processors, dispensaries, and other ancillary parts of the industry under this umbrella. So they're the ones combating and going against the will of the people. They're the ones, the reason why people are still going to Michigan, because the weed is cheaper, because we have less quality, less access, higher cost, right? They're the reason we have so many hemp shops, because people said, well, if I can't get into the weed game, I'm just going to open a hemp shop. And I don't have to go through the licensing process. I don't got to spend $50,000 on a non-refundable license that I might not win. I don't have to spend millions of dollars to kit out a dispensary that has to have security. It has to have on-staff security, armed security. You got to have camera systems. It got to be spick and span, right? So people say, oh, I'm going to just sell some gummies in the gas station. I'm going to just sell some THC drinks. And so people really got to understand, like, nuance. The state legislator, the GOP, screwed us, right? And they told you to your face, you passed it as a citizens initiated statute, which means we can change it if we want to. They said it. They said we would rather have our kids drinking alcohol than smoking weed. And now You can go to a restaurant if you're 21 years and older and give your kid a drink legally. And the restaurant legally can do it. So it just shows you like these are the people running the state and they need to get the fuck out of there. So, you got to be aware of what's going on because that's not what we voted for. We voted for issue 2 as is, social equity, tier 3 licenses, craft grow licenses, delivery, lounges, public consumption. We don't even have smell jars. So you can't even go to the dispensary and smell the weed. You can't even smell the weed. Like, how am I supposed to know if I really want the weed? Like, I see the terpenes on there, I see the harvest date, but guess what? If that shit don't, now I can just sit here all day with this one jar. This one. But you can't do that at the dispensary. It's in and out. Either you gotta, like, what type of shopping is that for weed? You know what I mean? All right, I'm sorry. They done got me hot. They done got me hot. So SB 56 protects the voter intent, public safety. Yeah. So it did not repeal legalization. Adult use cannabis remains legal with nearly 200 licensed dispensaries open today and more than 300 expected, ensuring safe, regulated access statewide for adults 21 and older. Now, to put this in perspective, we have 37 cultivators in the entire state. 37. So just think 37 people, 37 companies own all of the cultivation in the entire state of Ohio. The state of Ohio has over 11 million people. The city of Columbus, we have over 200,000 people. Like black people. So it's like 37 cultivators controlling everything in the state. And then they have multiple brands within those. And then you have your processors, right? So a lot of the cultivators, they're vertically integrated, seed to sale. So they have the cultivation, they have processing, and then they have dispensaries, right? Then you have your processors. Most of the processors, they have to get biomass from another cultivator. Well, guess what? If a cultivator has its own processor, why would I give my biomass to a processor that could potentially compete against my brands, my edibles, my tinctures, my vapes? Why would I do that? So a lot of these processing only companies struggle to get cannabis products because, again, they're competing against the vertically integrated. So again, we have to understand what's going on, and we have to denounce all of these people because they're not for the people of Ohio, right? They're not for the home growers. They're not for the legacy growers. They don't want to compete. They know they can't compete. They know if they allow the legacy growers in the game legit, they will lose. They know it. Oh, all right. SB 56 closes dangerous loopholes. And this is them again. This is how they, these little whistles, right? It's dangerous. It's dangerous. I've never gotten bad weed from any of my dealers off the street. No, I usually go to pretty good growers now. I don't just go to everybody. I know everybody ain't got the good product. I know niggas out here with that spray pack and that bullshit. But usually when I have a good supplier, good to go. Usually they are the grower and the supplier, or they're one off, one or two off. Ohioans voted to regulate marijuana. No, we voted to regulate marijuana like alcohol. Okay. They deserve to know that cannabis products being produced and consumed in our state are safe. And they are not. We don't know. Right? They're microwaving the weed. They're doing all types of shit to the weed that we don't know because they're not disclosing all the information. SB 56 closes a loophole that allowed untested, unregulated. So what about the tested products that y'all keep retesting? What about that? Okay. Unregulated intoxicating hemp products and out-of-state marijuana to be imported and sold through over 3,000 vape shops and countless gas stations and liquor stores. These unregulated products pose serious risk to consumers, undermining issue 2 and creating a Wild West style marijuana and synthetic drug market in Ohio. Chat, chat. Finally, we got somebody in the chat. I felt like I'm talking to myself here for a little bit. My God, chat. Full of shit. Shout out to the new man. Like, this is what we're reading. Y'all see me, right? Like, this is real shit. This is what's today? February 4th, Wednesday, 2026. This is, you see when this was released, right? This is press release for immediate release from the Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol. And then we like, look, this how dumb they think we are, y'all. The shit says regulate marijuana like alcohol right there, right? And then you come down. What does it say? What did it say that I just read? Oh, right here. Ohioans voted to regulate marijuana. Why did they put the whole piece? You see this right here? Like what? We didn't just choose to regulate marijuana. We chose to regulate it like alcohol. Like. This is America. English language, people. English 101. Regulate it like this other substance that is the wild, wild west, right? We had Four Locos in college. I didn't know you were supposed to split Four Locos up between four crazy people, right? We was chugging them shit, taping this shit to the hand, right? Like I went to a real party school. Oh yeah, y'all know. Come on, bro. They think y'all stupid. They think we stupid. I mean, I guess if I wasn't here to explain it and break it down, a lot of people would just go for it because this is what they're doing. Regulate marijuana like alcohol. Then they come down here and say, oh, Ohioans voted to regulate marijuana. Period. Where's the rest of that sentence? Oh man, they getting my blood pressure. You know what I mean? You know what we do to that? First of all, let me stay hydrated. Gotta stay hydrated. How y'all doing today? How y'all doing? Shout out to the chat. We got four people in here. See, once I get turned up, the people start coming in. Make sure y'all hit me up in the chat too. Let me know where y'all tapping in from. If you're in Ohio, let me know what state, what county, what city. I said if you're in Ohio, what state, what county, what city you in. Shout out to all the major places, you know, all the people in Ohio, man. OH, I don't be on that OHIO shit, but I know y'all be loving it. OH, you know, I went to the original OH. You know what I mean? We the originals, we the OGs, baby. All right, let me see. Oh, all right. SB 56 ensures that intoxicating cannabis is only sold in licensed dispensaries under strict oversight. And this is what Ohioans voted for. This is what Ohioans want. Like, who the fuck are these people, bro? Like, how does one group speak for everybody? And then you clearly have another side of people like, no, we are the cannabis consumers, and we do not fuck with what y'all are doing. Like, there's whole groups dedicated to like fuck y'all with thousands of people in them. Like, look, they're laughing at y'all. Look at the emojis. Look, pissed off, smiling, laughing at y'all. 27. We're going to get to the comments later. The truth about the referendum. This referendum primarily benefits out-of-state illicit drug producers who claim SB 56, quote, overrides the will of the people, end quote, and recriminalizes cannabis. It does. And y'all are the out-of-state workers. Most of the biggest companies in the state of Ohio for cannabis are multi-state operators. They are not small mom and pop cannabis ventures, first of all. So a lot of the money and a lot of these cultivators, they've been sold out. Somebody sold the company to a bigger buyer, right? A lot of these dispensaries. So they're just bold-faced lying, bro. These statements are false. Yes, they are. Your statements are false. You just told on yourself. How are you not recriminalizing cannabis if we go up to Michigan, bring the cannabis back? That's now an offense, an arrestable offense or a fine. Now, if you're smoking in your car, fine, crime. If you pulled over and the cannabis is not in the trunk of the car or the farthest back part of the car, unmarked or not in the original packaging, fine, crime. What does fines lead to if you don't pay the fine? Crime or time, right? So yes, it recriminalizes cannabis for sure. You can lose your job, random drug tests, don't get no government benefits for unemployment if you fail. Healthcare benefits healthcare can now discriminate against you again for using cannabis. Landlords can discriminate against you for consuming cannabis. If you can't smoke in your apartment, you can't smoke in your car, you can't smoke publicly, you can't smoke at a bar. There are no lounges. Obviously, people go to the hookah lounge and shit like that. Where are you supposed to smoke? I have a home. I can smoke in my house if I want to. Smoke in my bedroom. I can smoke in my garage. I can smoke in my backyard. Everybody don't own a home. So again, it criminalizes, it demonizes average people. You know what I mean? If you don't own your company, you get drug tested. Now you get fired. Go find another job. Why you get fired? Oh, I failed a drug test. Well, you can't work here. So it opens up so many more issues, which again goes back to recriminalization. It's going to harm and hurt the people most on the bottom, working class people, people with labor jobs, all right, people on government assistance. It's not going to hurt people that, work at a desk job, have computer jobs. Like, it ain't going to hurt me. I'd be on a computer all day, getting work done, sending emails and shit, calling people, talking shit. I'm not in a labor job. So they're blatantly lying to you. And it's gross because, one, these are the people that pushed for issue 2. And these are the people now who push for SB 56. This legislation preserves the regulated system voters demanded and eliminates dangerous, unregulated substances from convenience stores where they were commonly being sold and marketed to Ohio children. Now they bring in the children, right? These are the same people, right? So have we seen an increase? Y'all let me know. We the people, have there been an increase of kids like going to the hospital, getting sick by these? And then like if you're getting like that should be regulated, right? Like you should be holding private business owners accountable. If there's somebody that has a gas station and they're selling THCA or Delta 9 products and they're selling it to a 17-year-old, that is on that business owner. That business owner should be held accountable for not carding. Just like if you were to give alcohol to a kid, if a kid was to come to a gas station and buy a 40 ounce, buy a Bud Light or a 6-pack of Bud Light or whatever, you're supposed to card that person. If you were going to Kroger and go to the liquor section and get a handle of fucking Henny, before you walk out, you got to pay for that Henny and you got to get carded. It's the same thing. So this ideology that everybody should have to pay because a few fucking knuckleheads want to sell some extra $10 gummies to some fucking little ass kids. First of all, the parents, get your fucking child right. Second of all, I'm pretty sure 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds aren't walking into grocery store or walking into a gas stations picking up fucking 8 packs of fucking gummies. Like, it's crazy. But this Ohio. So unregulated substances from convenience stores. I just read that. Marketed on even using the logos and branding of commercially available candies. When whole time the candy shouldn't even be being sold, right? Like you got these companies, Hershey's, pushing candy, and the kid is obese. It's 60 grams of sugar in the candy. The kid going to get Twizzlers and shit. Skittles taste the rainbow. Yeah, that kid's gonna be obese. He's got diabetes already. Red 40, all the bullshit in these. But they gonna come after the weed, right? And you can tell these motherfuckers don't smoke no weed. Like, what type of person actually consumes cannabis and then you gotta think came up with all of this bullshit that they done wrote in this? Like, even they don't believe this shit. There's no way you wrote this and believe this. This shit sounds like some AI. So this got to be ChatGPT. Federal policy is moving in the same direction. Congress recently passed a federal intoxicating hemp ban that will take effect in 2026. The U.S. Attorney General, DEA, and FDA are now finalizing rulemaking to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, recognizing its medicinal value and aligning with responsible regulation. Press inquiries may be directed to press at just like Ohio, just like alcohol.com. Ooh, I'm about to email them, y'all. I'm gonna see if we can get them on the show. We're gonna email them and see if we can get them on the show because this shit is bananas. BANANAS. So we got Tim. This is the same orgs that put issue 2 on the ballot and lobby for tier 1 Ohio cannabis program. Stakeholders have made numerous attempts to monopolize the industry in Ohio and are now criminalizing their very own consumers and patients through SB 55. I think you meant 56. They're the same ones who redacted social equity and continue attempts to do away with home grow rights. 2.2 million Ohioans voted for issue 2, not SB 56. Stand your ground by standing by your vote. Be responsible and honest. Just like alcohol and OCAN, your statements present typical GOP deception practices to mislead the voters, the people, and your patients, consumers, as the Ohio GOP leadership have stated. If you were pro-cannabis, you'd call it that and not a word that originated from anti-cannabis propaganda. This is an obvious example of agenda over education, not to mention if the idea of the Wild Wild West style cannabis market worries you, farmers markets must push you right over the edge. All those unregulated plants, fruits, and veggies being sold to people for consumption. Crazy to think there have been 0 deaths from cannabis ever yet. You honestly just compared an unregulated market surrounding it to the Wild Wild West. Why don't y'all come back with a constitutional amendment? That way politicians can't mess with it. That's the next step. But we come back with big alcohol and privatize the high-proof spirits business into existing beer and wine wholesalers. That puts everything on the table, including social consumption, mandatory 3-tier, and trade practice rules. How about a link so we could actually read it? Probably shouldn't have rushed things and passed the constitutional amendment. Man, these folks is wild, boy. Wow. These folks crazy. Share it to the story. Share it to the story. They are still selling THCA bud. Yeah, so I just came across that. Like I said, always trying to stay on top of things. Let me see. I can't even reply to these. All right, so that done got me all hot. Now I gotta go I gotta roll up something real quick because now I'm on. It got me hot right now. But I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe to the channel. be on the lookout. We're starting to promote the event more. So again, if you're in the Columbus, Ohio region or area and you want to support, please pull up to the Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum. Again, this is just a forum. This is a community gathering of like-minded individuals trying to spread knowledge, information, education, and awareness about all things Ohio cannabis to the community. So please come with good intentions, good spirits. This is not something that we plan to get shit done in one day in terms of legislation, policy, a constitutional amendment, the referendum. Like, this is literally just a space to have common ground, have good conversation, listen to people who've been on the ground in their respective areas, and try to pull resources, information together to continue to move forward in progress as we continue to build out a sustainable cannabis community and economy in the state of Ohio. Again, if you're somebody that is in the industry and you want to be on a panel, like I said, I'm going to turn this into a series. So please reach out to me via, you can do DMs or you can do email. Typically email is best. So you can reach out to me at the bottom of the screen, Ohio Cannabis Report at gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. Here's our Facebook, Instagram information. Yeah, I mean, this is a community-led thing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not somebody trying to, sit on a pedestal or anything like that. I created this platform. I believe we need other people to create more platforms. I don't really like doing this shit, honestly. But nobody else is doing it. Well, not nobody else, but you have people that are, obviously you have podcasts that talk about other things, but I think you have to get into the nooks and crannies of the law, the policy, because again, that's what, where people get tripped up at. So again, you still have people thinking that head shops are dispensaries or licensed dispensaries. So even I'm on Threads and people are like, oh yeah, we got black, dispensaries. I'm like, no, those aren't legal dispensaries. Those are head shops, right? They're selling you THC, they're selling you hemp. You might have some fire there, right? Like, I'm not saying that there's not fire. I'm not saying that you can't go there and find some good bud. But what I'm saying is the state licensed companies that are licensed by the state, when you go purchase cannabis from there, that tax revenue goes back into the community. That's important to me because that's what we voted for. When you have a retail shop, we don't know where that money is going necessarily, right? Just like with the state. That money is supposed to go back to the community. They took 36% of that and put it towards general fund, right? They took out the social equity, the jobs fund. But again, the state has sold over $3.3 billion in medical and adult use cannabis. They've sold over $1.1 billion in adult use recreational cannabis. How much has your local hemp shop sold? We don't know, and they probably won't tell you, right? They're not going to tell you, oh, we done sold, $1 million in product, because they don't want to write that tax check. They don't want you coming in being like, yo, you're not putting no money back into the community. They taking that money, putting it into their pockets, fixing their families up nice, paying their rent, their mortgage, their car note, their kids going to private school, right? So again, there is a difference, right? I'm all for free market, right? That's the whole point. With the cannabis industry, we need cheaper licensing, right? The licensing is too expensive. We need open licensing. Right now, we have a restricted license program. We still need tier 3. We need craft grow. If you're a craft grower, you should be able to take your product to a dispensary and the dispensary sells your product. We should have social equity dispensary licenses, right? So again, this is why I'm speaking up and speaking for it, because this is what we voted for. We didn't vote for a limited license program. We didn't vote for only 37 multimillionaires to own all the cultivation, all the processing, all the dispensing, all the lab work, right? We voted for open market. We voted for the ability to have craft grow, to be able to do farmers markets, to be able to have delivery, to be able to have farmers markets and lounges and stuff like that, right? And so this is why we have to keep our foot on the gas and be aware, because again, you have organizations that are leading this charge against the people, right? The people voted for one thing. They conspired with the GOP politicians to change the law. And now you have a group of people who have been coming to you, paying into you, and now you're using that money against them and saying, no, we're doing this to protect Ohioans and to protect children from, hemp products coming from out of state, because we won't allow people to grow their own in state. We won't allow people to dispense in the state. So people got to go outside, right? So we've been working with App Girls Cannabis. Shout out to App Girls Cannabis. They are one of the companies, and their founders have been some of the people outspoken, and they're a part of this referendum. But they were founded in Athens, Ohio. They produce the product in Athens, but they have to get their hemp product from outside of the state. So I think they get their hemp product from Kentucky, right? And so then they produce their App Girls Cannabis beverages, right? And so it's companies like that that are doing well. They're building a brand. They hire people within the state of Ohio, and I think they would love to use their hemp product because Joey Elwood also is a hemp farmer. So I'm sure they would love to grow their hemp here in Ohio, process it, put it in their drinks, but with the law being the way it is, I don't think they can do that. Obviously, you have bars, restaurants, you have places that sell these beverages now, that, again, they have invested in purchasing bulk orders of THC beverages now, that if the law goes through, they would have to get rid of those and take them off the shelves, which, again, is a loss for a lot of people. Again, you have these companies that have invested in their hemp businesses, which, again, they have hired people, they have been making money. And if these businesses have to close, those are jobs that are going to be lost, right? So that's why this is all important, and it all kind of coincides together. Dispensaries are selling THCA flower, isolates, and distillates, not real weed, right? And a lot of these, and that's why, again, they are, because they're competing, right? Like, it's competition. And so, again, if you've been paying attention to the Ohio industry, you know that they don't grow their weed fully, right? So, they're harvesting it early, and then if you know anything about, Delta 9, Delta H is basically harvested early, right? Ohio Democrats are on the GOP payroll. Yeah, well, because the state is also gerrymandered, and so a lot of these politicians, they'll sign on to a GOP bill if you sign on to my bill over here, right? So there were a few Democrats actually that signed SB 56. And just before I log off, we'll show you guys that, just because I like to keep people abreast of what's going on in the full scope of the picture. Ohio SB 56. And it shows you, who voted for what. All right, I promise this will be the last thing we show today, and then I'm out of here. Take a little break. All right, so this is Steve Huffman. He's the primary sponsor. And then these are co-sponsors. Go ahead and show their faces. This little guy here, Senator Brenner. So you can see he's over Delaware, Coshocton. Oh, sorry, it didn't. So this is this guy. This is his district. Then you got Sereno. That's another co-sponsor. Like, my man got all of Lake Erie, but he's Cleveland. Like, these are the politicians that are pushing this stuff through. Then you got Bill Reineke. This guy. So he's Tiffin, Marion. And then you got Michelle Reynolds. She's Grove City, London, Circleville. Like, she a black woman Republican. Like, that shit is. Oh, I ain't even. It's Michelle Reynolds right here, District 3. Black female Republican. Like this shit look like Get Out. Like she is the definition of Get Out. Look at that shit. Get the fuck out of here. Ooh. Like what? What? Then you got this guy, Tim. Newark, Buckeye Lake, Heath, Baltimore, Lancaster, Pickerington. Like, look at these dudes, bro. And lady. And you got this dude. These are all the people that voted, co-sponsored SB 56. All right. So again, election season is coming up. November 3rd. A lot of these people, their seats is up for re-election. And again, Ohio's very gerrymandered. These are the representatives that sponsored. So he's a Democrat. Cleveland area. Sponsored SB 56. And you got Darnell, another Democrat. And you got Karen Brownlee, another Democrat. Now, y'all seeing this, right? Like, this is a co-sponsor list. Representatives, Jamie Callender. These are all the folks that supported SB 56, by the way. So y'all with me. This is all public knowledge and information. All public knowledge and information. Like, I'm just the messenger. I'm just a messenger. Sarah Fowler Arthur, District 99 Republican. She got Lake Erie too, Cleveland. She looked like Get Out too. Then you got, this one saddens me. She the homie. She the homie, but this ain't homie material right here. Matina Humphreys. Like her community hood, District 2. Reynoldsburg, Blacklick, Columbus. I mean, like that shit is, and she know her people smoking that gas. And then you got Marilyn John. I'm assuming this is her. District 76. Mansfield. So again, y'all, these are all the people that voted for SB 56, the cannabis recriminalization bill, essentially. Jonathan Newman, District 80, Republican. Troy, Piqua, Springfield. These are all of the politicians that voted against the will of the people for SB 56. All right, and you got Mike Odioso, Republican, District 30. And you got Phil Plummer, this guy. Can y'all hear me? Let's see. Yeah, these guys don't know weed. BCI is in London, Ohio. Vote all of these Democrats out for sure. Yeah, they all gotta go. They all gotta go for sure. And a lot of them are up for re-election too, by the way. So this is Mark Segrist, another Democrat. Where's his picture at? Don't try to hide from me, Mike. Don't run from me, Mike. My internet acting up. Mike trying to run. There you go. Here, Mike. There you go, Mike. District 10, where he at? Columbus, Urban Crest, Grove City. Brian Stewart. He's one of the guys that was a real pain in the ass. He's the one that said, well, we'd rather have our kids drink alcohol than smoking weed. It's this guy. This fucking douchebag. I'm sorry. I don't usually like to get into the name calling and stuff like that, but these people it's weed, bruh. Like, leave the weed alone, bruh. Eric Seidenberg, this is a Democrat too. District 21, Cleveland area, Euclid. Now, again, a lot of these places too, like, you got to remember, it's politics, right? So again, you might have some of these communities have moratoriums against cannabis. So, this is why state legislation is important, and understanding who your representatives are and what they, what committees they sit on. This dude is a disappointment as well. Josh Williams, another get out candidate, Republican District 44, Toledo, Slovenia. He walk around real cool, like he real suave. Another loser. I'm sorry. I said no name columns. And you got this guy, Bernard Willis, District 74, Republican, Springfield. And like a lot of these, they scratch each other back. Oh, you vote for this, I'll vote for this for you. Tom Young, District 37, Republican. That's him. So yeah, those are the folks who co-sponsored SB 56, as you can see at the top here, as Senate Bill 56 votes. And that shows you the process. So, 12/9/2025, Senate or here's when it started, right? 2026, and then passed the Senate. Then it got re-referred to the House, favorable passage to the House, passed, Senate failed, passed the House, and then it got 22 yays, 7 nays. So let's break it down. Right, here's the yays, right? So you got your yays and your nays. So let's go ahead. We'll go through this part too. This is the part this is the part that they don't really tell you, you know what I mean? So this is one of the yays. Louis Blessing, the 3rd, District 8. I think this is him right here. And you got Brian M. Chavez, another yay. District 30. And you got this guy. Look at this guy. Al Catrona. Where he at? Carrollton, Columbia, Salem. Let's see. And you got Stephen Huffman. So these are politicians that were all for SB 56. Got Kyle. And these are the senators now, I believe. Yes, Senate. So this is the Senate, Ohio Senate. So this is him. Susan. A lot of people too. And this is all public knowledge and public information, guys. Anybody can look this stuff up, ohiosenate.gov. As you see, she's over Lima. I mean, I'm just a messenger. I'm not a journalist. I'm just a citizen. I don't call myself a journalist. My wife is a journalist. She went to school for journalism. I'm just doing me. I don't even want to take on that title. We do some independent journalistic type work, but I will never call myself a journalist. So you got this guy. You got Michelle Reynolds again. We just seen her. Show y'all her again. Tim Schafer, did we see him? Yeah, we saw this guy. Shane Wilkin. Saw this guy. Who else? Andrew O'Brenner. Yeah, we seen Brenner already. Who else? Sereno. Seen Sereno. Teresa Gavarone. I don't think we've seen her. Terry Johnson. Oh, Terry. Oh, scary Terry. We got Al. And look how old these people are, bro. Like, some of these people just don't want to fucking retire. Nathan Manning. You got Sandra O'Brien. You got Bill. We seen Bill. We seen Reineke, old stiff face ass. Like, no. Oh, we got her. Christina Rogner. They said she got slave shackles as decorations in her house. Word from the Rooster. Then we got Jane Temkin. Steve Wilson. We seen him, didn't we? We seen Steve. Let me go ahead and clean up some of these tabs real quick. All right. All right, and then we got your nays. These are your nays. So the people that voted no for SB 56. Shout out to Nikki J. and Antonio, District 23. Real one. You got Herschel Craig. Real one. You got Beth Liston. Another real one. I think she got Hilliard, Dublin, Gahanna, Westerville. You got Casey Weinstein, real one. We had Casey on an interview on our Instagram page a few months back. You got Willis Blackenshear. I think he out of Dayton area. And then we have Senator Bill DeMore. We have an interview with Senator Bill DeMore coming up this month on the 11th. So definitely tune in for that. He's over in Minerva Park, Columbus, Upper Arlington. And then we have Kent Smith. So these are all the nays. So he's out of Cleveland. So those are the people that, voted on SB 56. You saw the yays versus the nays. Mike Cigarettes. Brian. This shit is Bologna. Yeah. Josh Disappointment Williams for sure. They are more than. So yeah, that's this current state of Ohio cannabis politics at the state level. Obviously, there's a lot of nuances once it gets down to the local, county, and city levels. But again, everything comes down from the state level. So hopefully we gave you guys some good information today. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you thought this added some value, please share it to your social networks. It helps us when you guys like it. It helps when you comment. It helps when you share to help our algorithm, to help us grow. And it inspires me to keep doing it, right? Like when you guys show up and support and comment, it lets me know that I'm not doing it for no reason. So I do appreciate everybody, even when it's only a few people in the chat. It definitely helps me to stay, upbeat and to keep going. I'm going to try to start getting more of the content on our social media too. Obviously, I'm a one-man band. I do have some programs. So I'm trying to get some more stuff uploaded onto social, more short form content, because I know these are more longer form shows. But again, man, appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all tap in with all of our other social media platforms. Make sure you RSVP to the event. We are still looking for some sponsors. So if you would like to sponsor, we got a $50 sponsor, we got donation, we got a $250 sponsor. We appreciate it. Again, this is community-led work. This is not I'm not backed by any corporations. I have a nonprofit that I help run from grassroots level. But I am not backed. I do not have a ton of money, into this stuff. I'm just like a lot of y'all, you know what I mean? Still trying to figure out what's going on in a lot of different spaces. I'm not a grower. So I trust growers. I have a few growers that are in my Rolodex that I can count on and lean on for information. But I give that to the growers. I am a media person, right? I am somebody just passing on the information. I like to smoke weed. I love to smoke weed. I love to, commune with folks. But I know people get into the fucking nooks and crannies, and that's not me. So if y'all want to have the argument about terpenes and growth cycles and do all that shit, start your own page. This is covering the basics. What I know will bring people on who are industry experts. I'm not here to get in pissing matches about bullshit. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get some of this social equity bread out to the community so we can start to heal communities. We can start to, heal people, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose of the plant, is to heal people, help people live healthier, fuller lives. So that's my goal. And we appreciate those who have joined us to support that mission. So again, thank y'all. I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all day. I'll probably be on tomorrow, if not maybe this weekend. So again, thank you guys for the support. If you guys have any information, please send it to the email, ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. Follow us, support, love.